Hi everybody. Thanks for coming by this little chat about the Ubuntu Discourse platform. My name is Ian. First, I just want to point out this is not an introduction to Discourse. This is an overview of advanced features that can help teams communicate and collaborate more effectively. If you're a beginner, I would suggest getting familiar with Discourse on your own, then coming back to review. A bit about me. I am currently one of the community moderators of Ubuntu Discourse. I have been a Ubuntu member for 11 years. Let's start with a tiny bit of background. Discourse is an open source platform. There are many discourses out there. Ubuntu Discourse was created in 2017 by the Ubuntu community team. There have been several attempts to bring the various Ubuntu communities together into some kind of online space since the project began. That history could easily fill another half hour, so I'm not going to go into it here. Let's dive right in with some of the key tools on a topic. I've brought along our old friend Trusty Tar. They were free this week and willing to help, so thanks, Trusty. These are the topic tools we're going to cover. Some of these you might already be familiar with. Many of these are moderator tools, so if your team lacks somebody with a moderator badge, fix that. Making a topic private. That means converting a public topic into a private message. So if somebody starts a public topic like, "Please add me to the secret council," an admin can make the change and then make the message and the response private. Private messages can have multiple recipients. You can use them as mailing lists. And private messages have a feature to turn them back into a public topic if you really want to. One problem with private responses to a public query is that it looks like you're leaving the query hanging. There's no public answer. So if you're going to satisfy the query, consider taking the whole topic private. Polls. There are 2 tips for doing a poll well. First, flag the thread and have a moderator close it right away. People can vote on a closed topic. You can edit your posts on a closed topic. It just prevents folks from posting new comments underneath the poll. Second, mark your calendar. If voting ends on the 27th, mark your calendar to come back on the 27th and end the voting. It does not happen automatically. If you want to discuss the results in a new post within the same topic, have a moderator reopen it. A wiki is similar. Folks can edit a wiki in a closed topic. They just cannot post new comments below the wiki. And again, set your calendar for when you want to freeze the wiki input and go final. Alternately, set your calendar for some kind of periodic review. Announcements. There are 2 ways to do announcements. The most common way, the way we use, is an announcements category. You make your topic, and then an admin moves that topic into the announcements category. When you make an announcement, mark your calendar on when it should be removed, when it's no longer valid as an announcement. Let a moderator know so that they can move that announcement out into some other category. Right now, old announcements are retained only for big events, releases, elections, big policy changes. In a few years, as those become of historical value only, those topics will be moved out of announcements. The second way to do an announcement is to use a tag instead of a category. Mozilla does it this way. We currently don't, but I hope we do someday. I suggest using an announcement tag anyway, in case we do change and you miss the memo. Slow mode. Let's say that you write an announcement topic, and let's pretend we're dropping 32-bit support, and the internet blows up about it. They did. Flag that topic. Let a moderator turn on slow mode. It sets a minimum time between the responses by any one person so that the same hothead cannot dominate the conversation. There's also nothing wrong with closing or pausing the conversation for 24 hours and then reopening. Both of these are ways to make the topic less palatable for drive-by ranting. If you know that a topic will generate a lot of interest, plan some overnight and weekend coverage for it. Don't let random strangers take control of the conversation and then pile on each other for 12 hours. You lose control of the message that way, and then your team looks like chumps. The clickbait sites will definitely pick it up that way. This is something that has historically happened a couple times each year, and it is entirely within your control. If the conversation turns upon a misleading phrase or a misinterpretation of something in the announcement, go back and edit it to be more accurate, to clarify. Now, if you make a clarification 20 posts down, go back and also make it in that top post. So that was announcements and new topics. Let's look at old topics now. Most old topics age into obscurity on their own, but some old topics need to be properly retired. They keep showing up in searches. They're stale or misleading now. There are two ways to retire an old topic: unlist them or archive them. Unlist means hidden. It won't show up on searches anymore. It won't show up in a search engine anymore. It won't show up in the category listing anymore. It is still editable. An admin can still recover it and make it listable again. The URL to that topic still works. Unlist is for topics that are superseded or are now irrelevant and lack historical value, like an old support request. Archive makes a topic of historical value immutable, but keeps it listed, like an old feature roadmap or a test. So before you archive a topic, edit that topic. Change the title to reflect that it's historic instead of current. Add links to the current topic and or the documentation. Add an archive tag. Tags. Tags are generally misused in discourse. We need to fix that because we're currently using too many categories and too few tags. We currently have 37 categories, which seems like we're creating a problem for ourselves over the long term. I've already mentioned a couple of tags that you should use: announcement and archive. Don't use tags to make a topic searchable. Your topic has a title that already does that. Do use tags as part of your team's filing system. Tags have a consistent URL, just like categories do. Most topics need just one or two tags. The first tag should be your team's name. Easy. So all you need to determine is the second tag, which should be pretty general. Testing, specification, documentation. Use a tag that mentions the purpose of the topic. Don't bother with content because that's probably in your title already. Your team gets to determine what those general tags are, and you can change them anytime you like. You're in control. General guidance. 2 tags based on your most common topics. You don't need a tag for everything. Lowercase for readability. Singular for simplicity. And again, the first tag is your team's name. And don't be afraid to make exceptions. These aren't rules. This is guidance. Documentation should follow the diataxis modes. Tag it how-to or tutorial or explanation or reference. Let's try an example. You have topics about your team's roadmap discussion, maybe some specifications, maybe some calls for testing from a couple prior cycles, maybe a couple of old announcements, maybe some tutorials. You have some old stuff that is archived. That's really just 3 useful tags: announcement and archive and tutorial. Everything else is just kind of general unless you have a lot of it. You don't need a tag for everything. Make new tags if you need them to stay organized. Drop tags if you don't really need them. Admins, not moderators, admins, have the power to do some super advanced stuff with tags, like they can make tags mandatory in certain categories. And they can also make you select tags from a pre-approved list. They can also set up parent-child tag relationships. For example, if you tag documentation, a diataxis mode may be required. Now, none of that is currently required in Ubuntu Discourse. That's something admins have the power to do, but don't currently do. Tags are currently optional, but they are a very good idea. Flags. Now, I already went over a bunch of reasons to flag a topic for moderator action, to close it, to reopen it, to set a slow mode, to unlist it, or to archive it. And here's another one that we don't use enough. One of the cool things moderators can do is to select posts within a topic and move those posts to another topic, or to create a whole new topic for them. So let's say I have a topic on Raspberry Pi, and somebody hijacks it to talk about BeagleBoards. You can flag the first post of the hijack: hey, moderator, please move the BeagleBoard post to a new topic. We can help you unhijack a topic. You can also do this deliberately. You can have a wide open Ask Us Anything thread, and then you can separate out individual conversation topics as they develop. And you can also flag misdirects. The classic example of this is a support request. The good neighbor thing to do is to answer it with a link to that existing answer in the wiki or at Ask Ubuntu or in the documentation, etc., and then flag it. The moderator will pull the question and the answer into a new topic and then promptly close the topic. If you don't want to be bothered to look for the answer, well, doing so is not a requirement. It's just nice. Finally, and least often, let's talk about flags for bad behavior. The most common form of bad behavior is what I call rude customer behavior, opinionated entitlement. Flag it. It is a code of conduct violation. We probably won't remove the post, but we will PM the person emphasizing the value of persuasion in discourse instead of ranting. From there, we can escalate if their behavior does not improve. You don't have to put up with unprofessional behavior. Moderation in Ubuntu is governed by the Ubuntu Code of Conduct, so this is how we try to accomplish that. First, there is no pretense that this is a public space. This is a space for collaboration and discussion of the Ubuntu project and its various teams and certain upstream projects. Second, the Code of Conduct requires a collaborative and generally positive approach. I call this the shop floor approach. If you work in a steel mill, you put on your proper work gear before entering the workspace. You put on your helmet, gloves, coveralls, steel-toed boots, eye protection, hearing protection. And you behave in a safe manner on the shop floor, or you get ejected immediately. Same thing in Ubuntu Discourse. You put on the Code of Conduct before you enter the shop, and you behave in that collaborative and positive manner, or you're ejected. So we use the Ubuntu Code of Conduct to justify a fairly active approach to moderation. So let's say that somebody shows up breathing fire. They generally get the first post free because angry feedback still has some value. But they also get a personal message from a moderator that generally says, hey look, these developers respond to persuasion instead of ranting, so you probably want to edit your post. Many ranters do edit that first ranty post to try to comply with the Code of Conduct. They do genuinely demonstrate that they want their feedback to be taken seriously. They really do want to contribute. Sometimes you get a post that throws shade at Canonical. I love Ubuntu even though it's produced by evil Canonical. These can often be considered abusive, even if sometimes unintentional or thoughtless. Flag them. Let a non-canonical community moderator handle it. These usually result in a PM that says, hey look, nobody's going to take you seriously with that kind of trash talk. And again, many folks do edit their posts. If a ranter keeps breathing fire, otherwise known as being abusive, in subsequent posts, we hold them accountable for their words. That's typically a deleted post or a 48-hour suspension. It escalates from there. Moderators can mute the user so that the user can read but cannot post, or they can suspend the user so they cannot log in at all, or they can delete the account entirely. Moderators can also reduce trust levels. Untrusted user posts go into a review queue automatically. So moderators have some tools. If somebody has complaints about inappropriate moderation or wants to appeal an action, they can contact any other moderator or admin for a review, or they can go to the community council. Most corrective actions are short, so by the time somebody responds, the muting or suspension is likely to be over anyway, but people have these venues. We are not unaccountable. And on that dour note, let's review here what we went over today. I do want to thank our good friend the Trusty Tar for its invaluable assistance. Thanks, Trusty. If all goes well, I'll be joining you live momentarily for questions and discussion during our remaining minutes. This concludes the recorded portion of the presentation. Thanks for participating.